We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful and free, without a care in the world. I was one rich little girl, daydreamer, kidnap me. Take me back, all the way back to them days, running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot.
Rodney, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you, Andy?
I'm good. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you. Hope you're doing good. Everybody else is, for anybody that's watching now or going to see a replay, hope you're doing well. Maybe you're excited about Election Day. Maybe not. I don't know. Rodney's not. Okay.
No,
All right then.
I'm not a big. I'm not a big. I don't know. I don't go crazy with that stuff.
Okay. Well, it's to each his own, right? Now, if we get feedback, you just let me know. So we're not going to do that. You ready for your, okay. So for anybody that's watching, my name is Andy Elliott, real estate agent here in Williamson County, Tennessee, Franklin, Brentwood, those kinds of places. A lot of people have heard of those. And Rodney Wilds is the lender that I work with. He's the VP of F&M Mortgage, located in beautiful downtown Brentwood, Tennessee. And his buddy Jordan, I know that Jordan's kicking around someplace. But Rodney and I have been working together, gosh, coming up on 10 years, close to it, something like that. And then for anybody that just is tuning in, we're not going to try to sell you anything. That's not our deal. All we want to do is have some fun, share some thoughts. This isn't a class. It's not formal. I decided to wear my watercolor hat today, so I'm kind of laid back. So just enjoy yourself, and if you have something to add to the conversation and you catch us when we're live, just add it in the chat. If not, do so afterwards, and we can still answer those questions. So we always start out the same way, and Rodney is kind enough to talk about rates. We know that good, bad, or indifferent, he tells us how it is. So let's see what we got going on. Hang on. There we go.
Here we are. Today's. If you want to remove that picture, be good. Am I on
Oh,
there?
yeah, let's do that. I wonder why that is. Hang on a second. Hang on, let me do that. There we go.
There we go. Election bond market, just like you was talking about. Here we go. Right at the top. Today, green means good. We're up 38 basis points. As you can see what it's done throughout the day there. And the 10-year Treasury, which we follow more closely than anything, is down 8 basis points. So our 30-year mortgage-backed security is up a little bit. Let's see here. Markets overview. We can, let's see here. See if we can see a today's a today report. Intraday chart here. Let's do the line chart.
That's pretty in-depth information you got there. That's pretty good.
Yeah, this is this is from today, so it doesn't look, I mean, it's not big spreads here, so that makes it look like it's going crazy, but it's just the last 3 hours, or I'll go to the whole day. There you go. You see, if it's climbing, it's getting a little bit better. That's what 36 basis points looks like on that chart. So getting a little bit better today, but it's not like it's like anything else. It's hard to gauge what it's going to do.
Well, and it hasn't, it didn't, there wasn't any earthquake after the Fed's rate on Wednesday, was there? I mean, there was in the stock market, but what I'm saying is that mortgage rates in general seem to be, although they're bouncing around a little, they're staying within a reasonable rate, right?
Right.
They're
You
not
can see,
bouncing around.
yeah, they're just, I mean, this is a 1 year chart, so you can see how it's kind of done over the years, but there's a lot of green. Once it hit right here, it looked like one of our floors. This is 0% as a floor support. Looks like it hit that floor right there and kind of bounced off of it.
Right.
So hopefully it won't go below that. Consumers, everybody would like to see that thing go way up here, Keep getting paid.
But not today.
Right.
Not today. Okay, so that's all right. So, and this is what we're learning week in, week out, is that on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't seem to be terribly volatile. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but there's no just huge swings going on. And I imagine that's, all things being equal, that's kind of good, right?
Yes, that's recently. Like if you went back to May, some of those days in May, those were some seriously huge swings. But right now, it's in the last looks like couple months, it's no huge swings.
Gotcha. All right. Well, one of the things that I wanted to touch base about. Now, I don't really have. Let me see if I can do this correctly. I don't know why that's happening. It's live. One of the things I was wanting to bring up today was the great, called the Great Reshuffling, and we don't have it by state per state, but if somebody has an opinion, in Tennessee, and I don't mean to be unkind, I just kind of shoot straight with everybody, is that when there was a big migration, a lot of Californians moving in, right? There was a lot that was going on for, the last couple of years, especially after COVID and all that kind of stuff. And there was this thing you'd see people online saying, "Don't California my Tennessee." And you'd hear them say that to Florida or Texas and that kind of stuff. And with all the moving that's gone on this last couple of years, what this article is talking about, hope that doesn't play music, good it didn't, is with all the people moving around, did some of these states change politically with all the influx and the migrations and stuff moving around? And what it's saying is that most of the people that moved, when you read this article, and it's a Redfin, it's an Inman article, but based on Redfin data, that most of the people that moved, or a lot of the people that moved, were independents, which is kind of an interesting thing. But out of California, there was a lot of Republican people kind of wanted to get out of there for one reason or another. And I'm not judging. I'm not judging. We're just talking. And so my question to you, Rodney, is, and again, it's just conversation. Do you think, what are the, when you hear about purple states, what is that?
I've never heard of a purple state.
Oh, really? Okay. A purple state is when it's like Democrat, and then there's a lot of reds move in and it starts to turn purple, or if it's red and a lot of whatever, or the reverse, it turns purple.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what, like, it's talking about Arizona and Nevada, how the, for example, registered Democrats now make up 33% of Nevada voters, where they did make up 37. So look at that. It's gone a little more red in their direction. Republicans now make up 29% of the registered voters, down from 31. That's interesting. They both went down. So it must be independents in there. Right, it's got to be.
So people moving, both red and blue, moved out.
Yeah.
And that's what it's focused on, like whatever you are moving out of that, or is it just it wouldn't affect if somebody voted differently, right? It's just about how people are moving.
Well, it's about how people are moving, but they're bringing their vote and their leanings with them, which again, that's fine, because I know here in the Nashville area, there's a lot of concern that, I read an article earlier today, and it was about how groups of people, the word they used was sort. They sort themselves. And so if you move into a community, say it's a relatively large town, you're going to probably end up in an area with like-minded people. That's what we do. We sift and we sort ourselves. That's what community is all about. I'm looking for a better word, but I can't find it. We sift and sort that. And a lot of that is by political affiliation, that sort of thing. And so here in the Nashville area, a lot of the red people, because this is a really red state, that a lot of the Democrats are putting together groups, powerful groups, and they're gaining strength, and they're trying to gather their their friends, if they will, people that like-minded people, And so there's always concerns for that. And that's the whole thing. The only reason I wanted to bring it up, again, sorry I don't have any statistics. I don't even know if it would do any good if I did.
No,
Because
this is a crazy point because I've always thought like, when you see, I guess when I do watch elections, it's always seems, the big cities usually go Democrat,
yeah,
and outside of that, rural, is Republican.
yeah, yeah,
So I didn't know, I hadn't even thought about, what even moving out of certain states or people influxing into certain states changing that. That's a cool take on that because I really hadn't thought much about the political part of that.
Oh man. Well, and it's like, and I believe I have this right. And if somebody's watching this and I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I'm not a scholar on this. I try to pay attention to it. But Texas, in particular, they're really sweating it down there because Austin, I mean, it really got flooded with a lot of new people, and I think the reason folks moved in there, they didn't leave California necessarily because of the political stuff. Some did, we all pick our reasons for coming and going, migrations for different reasons. I think it was probably more financial. I'm not going to get into the cause of that. A lot of people left California because it's so darned expensive. And you go to Austin where it was a little bit less expensive, and I think it still is, but it's probably changed a little bit. But by default, they left for economic reasons, but they bring their politics with them.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
And that's understand. I get that. But then all of a sudden you have this, like, I think that it's Austin. That is, when I use purple, that's what's happening there, is that it's not purely red anymore like it so much used to be, I think is what I'm getting at. So in that thing. But my argument, here's my thing. Unless you're the kind of person that is one party or the other just because, that's it. If somebody comes into my town and they're one way or another, instead of fighting them on being different, I would think that it's better to say, hey, maybe we can work together, and here's where we're similar. You may be blue, I may be red, but how can we work together to make things better for everybody, but still maintain our individual rights, because there seems to be that blurry line between the two parties on that, But anyway, that's, it's my job to, Rodney, if you were a Democrat, and I don't know your affiliation, but if you were different than me, it'd be my job to show you how cool we are, and maybe you'd, decide to work with us,
It's funny that like I have a neighbor that actually moved from California, and there's never been any politics discussing or anything like that. It's just like their dog loves our dog, and our dog loves their dog. So that's about all. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, but I haven't. I'm not one to discuss a political because I'm not that. I'm not that into it. Obviously, I'd vote for a side, but I'm not going to. It's wild that we're talking about it because you say that, but it's almost like over the last several years, it's a point of division versus anything else. Like I don't know who my neighbor votes for and don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think they care who I vote for.
And that's kind of my point, that I think for most people, see, I'm looking, my camera is weird on this. Can't get this. I don't know what that is. I just don't want it to be goober.
Hey, this is the goober show, dude.
Yeah. But I think what I'm trying to say that there are, passions run deep, about politics in particular. And I think that it's really a mistake when there's a divide so clearly based on just one side or the other versus actual policies and stuff. I mean, what a guy said a couple of decades, can't we all get along?
Yeah.
I just, but I'm like you. I pay attention to it. It interests me, but I don't like it when I get attacked because I'm not like the other guy, because it does happen, to be honest with you. Anyway.
Yeah, I would like to see. So some of the basically what's coming out of this, and it's got to be the truth, or you think this way, is that our country map, it voted how it voted last year, whether
Right.
whatever color it was, and there's a lot of places that are going to change colors. Now they're not going to change colors to that green hat. It's going to be red or blue.
My monitor's going this way and my screen's going that way, and sorry.
I would. That's going to be a tough one to tell, because I think that there's going to be a lot of people changing parties this year because they may not be happy with their Republican representative or their Democratic rep. I think this time you may see more people who have voted one way in the past vote a different way this year.
I'm 100% in agreement with you. A lot of people would call them independents. I don't know what that means exactly, but it means they go the direction that seems to work best for them at the time. They're not politically wired. Their policy concerned, And I agree. There's going to be stuff going on, and it is going to be interesting. But I guess the punchline to the conversation, when I read this, and again, I didn't go in depth on it. I wouldn't, because it'd be boring as heck. But for all the states, and there's a lot of them that were saying, and it seems like I'm picking on California. I think it turned into some sort of a mantra. It really isn't California people, but it was the idea that there was a lot of states. I mean, that were saying, "Don't California my this and that and this and that," and I'm interested. And you think, nah, that won't happen. I wonder if it did, or if it is, or if it's happening.
It's going to. I think we would see it I think you'll see it if you see some rural areas start changing colors, right? Going from and typically rural areas are more red than blue.
Yeah.
And I think California has been a Democrat state for a lot of the people there have been Democrats for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's I would think if they're moving out into rural areas, because of COVID and work, they can work and it's cheaper. I think that's where we'd see it, because the other places are already blue,
Well, here's an interesting thing. I do know about this. One thing in particular about California, and we'll get off the topic. There's what was his name? There was a mayor in the Boston area. It was a Massachusetts mayor. And he was a terrible mayor, and he was a particular political affiliate. And everybody that hated him moved out. And because that happened, the only people that remained were people, they didn't like him and they hated his policies, but he stayed in office for like decades because everybody who hated him left. And the same thing, and you kind of see that in California, the people that are moving out, do you think that there's a high degree of reds moving out? I bet, in terms of policies, there's probably a lot of exodus, migration, Republican. There's going to be the financial stuff, but there's going to be a lot of the political stuff. So the more Republicans that move out of the state, that leaves it more and more purely blue. And so it gets, I'm going to get in trouble with somebody here. Sorry. But that's the theory. It was this.
Are you leaning towards the independents and the Republicans are leaving the blue states? Is that
That's what I'm saying. over the past few years, for the people that we've moved in, the people that I've moved in, and the other agents that I know that have brought California folks in, most of it, to be honest, was politically motivated. It was expensive, but the draw, and I understand this in spades, it's beautiful out there. The ocean is beautiful. The weather is beautiful. The air is, every time I go there, it's like, oh, God, I feel free. It feels good to be there. But the people that were exiting, that were leaving, it was politically motivated. That's,
Okay.
I bet 90% of the people that I moved in, I asked them, how come you, then it was for political reasons. Was that your question? I forgot.
Yeah, no, that was it. Yeah.
And so the people that stay, I understand that, because there's only one California. There's only one California dreaming, and
Oh, yeah.
I do. I like it, but I'm
There's
here.
more than one ocean, but California's got one.
We've got a pretty nice one.
Yeah.
got a pretty nice one, and the music's good too. I like that. So anyway, so we'll leave that alone. So it'll be interesting tonight. Next week, maybe we can do a couple of minutes on what happened in the politics. So here, let's go to can we go to the, this will be an interesting tie-in. Can we go to the equity loss for homeowners? Is that okay?
100%, yes.
Okay. Again, we're not, if this isn't evidence that we're not trying to sell you anything, we're just we really are the kind of people that are taking the pulse the best we can of what's going on. And we're both very positive people, but sometimes it's just, there's difficult news. So, such is life. But we're talking about how much equity is being lost since May. And anybody that's in the real estate industry would know that since May is in an infinitesimal length of time. Would you agree, Rodney?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's, like we're, some of the data we're looking at, a rolling 12 months, rolling, stuff like that. But since May, I mean, I kind of like this number. I went through this article. I kind of liked it that I didn't think it was crazy. When you come off the greatest appreciation time in American history, probably. It's the rebound or the slowdown, however you want to call it. As always has something like this to it. So
yeah. Well, it just there's things are changing, and we're all watching and waiting and see what's going on. But here's the point: if you're a homeowner and you've lived in your property since before COVID, I think that would be safe to say, a couple of years before COVID, probably. Homeowner equity peaked at 11.7 trillion collectively last May, after home prices jumped almost 50% since the start of the pandemic.
Yeah.
50%. Jeez Louise. In September, home prices fell on a month-to-month basis for the third month in a row, but these are tiny little amounts that they're falling. 1.5%, stuff like that. But since July, the median home price has dropped by almost $12,000. And what you're saying, Rodney, is that's not insurmountable.
Yeah, $12,000 is like you're talking about. Let's say you had a $300,000 house pre-pandemic, and it went up 50%. So it went up. You're at 450 there. So now you're lost 12. So now you're 438. So
ain't no big deal is what you're getting at.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's you got to just we've been such a great period. We'll hit this period where it it goes down a little bit, or maybe even just goes up some, or breaks even. But these things houses are, generally for a single family and somebody who owns one house, this is a long-term investment.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I know that once I started owning real estate, and and I'm not a financial guy really, but I know what my net worth is. And it's more than it was a couple of years ago by a bunch. Now I'd have to convert that in order to make that happen. It's just on paper, but still.
Right. It's better not having it.
It's better than not having it, right? And looking at '08 and having a short sale or something. That's not going to happen. So the historic run-up in home prices during the first 2 years of the pandemic gave homeowners records amount of home equity. Since May, however, $1.5 trillion of that has vanished, according to Black Knight, the mortgage software company. The average borrower has lost $30,000 in equity. So homeowner equity peaked at $17.6 trillion collectively after home. Did I just read that twice? Oh, that was the thing. Sorry. At the end of September, prices were still up 41%, and equity was still quite strong. Buyers who bought their homes before the pandemic, collectively have $5 trillion more than they did before the pandemic hit. Jeez. There's a lot of tappable equity all of a sudden made an appearance. Remember we talked about that a couple of months ago, tappable equity that you can take out and still have a safe reserve. That's money you can take out and do something with. Don't do it, right, Rodney? Don't do that, but you could. Anyway, so let's see.
Hey, you've got a lot of smart people know how to make that equity work for you.
Oh man, I'm telling you. That's home price began to weaken, a lot less affordable to buy. The monthly payment on the average home with 20% down payment is up nearly $1,000 since the start of the year. Now, being in the lending business, the people that you talk to that you're giving loans to these days, you really don't have that conversation, do you? Because they come to you prepared. They already know what the bad news or what the news is, right?
It seems like a lot of them may not know exactly where it is, but they know it's not good. They know it's not what it was, several months ago or a year and a half ago. So yes, they semi-do, but it's still a shock to the system because they've been running numbers at a lot, half that interest rate. And, this is the first time also that we have the market where the houses are at an all-time high and the rates. So it's a little bit different market there as well. So, yeah, they're used to pricing that home a little bit cheaper, and then the interest rates, a lot cheaper. But it's kind of coming around.
It is. Well, and that's why I mentioned that, because I think, for a lot of folks, affordability is an issue. And when I say affordability, there is a group that goes from I can't afford a house to I can just make it, and then you start being a little more affluent, longer time in your job, whatever the case may be. But it's those folks that are sort of in that middle ground, just kind of getting started trying to figure it out, where affordability comes up and taps them a little bit, and I suspect that we were talking about sorting, they probably sort themselves out when they see prices like this. And that's what I mean for the people that are still active. They know what the score is for the most part. Maybe not exactly, but
no, 100%, yes.
They're built for the tolerance on that. All right, so people lost a little bit of money. That's all right. Okay. So here was one of the other things. Let me look at my notes here real quick. To point that up, I thought would be interesting. Did you look at the CNBC site did you pop that open? I'm just wondering.
I did. It was one that didn't load for me very well.
Okay, that's fine. Well, here was my idea. Since we're talking about home values and stuff, and that's what we do. What I thought I'd compare real quick is, again, Rodney and I live in Brentwood, Tennessee, Williamson County, Tennessee. And I don't know maybe you could look this up while I'm doing something else, Rodney. What is the wealth rating of Williamson County? Do you know? Is that easy to find out?
Yeah.
Williamson County used to be like 10th or 11th wealthiest county in the nation, and the only one in the South. All the others are Washington, D.C. isn't that interesting. The Washington area, that's where the wealthiest counties are, a lot of them. Anyway, so Williamson County it's a very wealthy county. And what that brings with it is a pretty stable housing market. Nashville is a pretty stable housing market. But what I wanted to do was go through what the United States numbers are and then drill down and get into Nashville and then touch on Franklin and Brentwood. Any news on, were you able to find it?
It's well, the last one that I've seen, it the most recent rankings had it at let's see here. It just says one of the healthiest counties in the United States.
Healthiest or wealthiest? I was looking for wealthiest.
Yeah, it actually says healthiest. It scored 19 out of 500 with, and of course that's the, and they ranked it economy 97 out of 100.
Let me look something up real quick.
I don't know where they rank it, but yeah, it's been ranked in the top cities of the, wealthiest counties several times over the past few years.
Well, I know it's in the top 10 or 20. We're doing Williamson County. There it is.
This one says 7th, but this one's from 20.
Right.
This one says 10th, and that was from 2021. So yeah, let's say it's
we're doing all right. We're doing all right. And the reason I mention that is because it's going to show up in the housing numbers, and that by default makes our housing market pretty stable because the tax base is strong, and that's it's just the way it is. But anyway, if we go through these numbers, the United States housing market, here's the overview. This has changed. Now these are September numbers. They're lagging just a little bit, but it's still pretty good. I mean, let me make sure I got something. Yeah, it's still pretty good. The median home price, you're going to see some real differences here. Settle in. I'm ready for this. The median sale price in the U.S. overall is $403. Well, it just wasn't a few months ago. It was $438 or $445, something like that. Isn't that right? But it's up 7.5% year over year. The reason that's interesting is we've been talking about 20% increase year over year for quite a while. But as time goes down, that gap is slowing down. So the number of homes sold is 501,000. This is is that right? Yeah, in the month of September, it's 22% less in the U.S. and the fixed. We don't care about the mortgage rate. Is 6.5 or 6.1%. The top 10 metros, Naples. Look at all the Florida. Wow, Clearwater. That's nice. Look at all that. Florida's. Wonder if there's some political shuffling going on down there.
You think?
I think there probably is. Number of home sales. The number of homes for sale in the U.S. in September, 1.7. That's up almost 4%. That's amazing. The median days on market, it's up. It's over 13 days more than it was last year, and wow. 2 months supply, which we're trying. A healthy market is 5 to 6 months, so they say. 2 months, and it says here it's +0 year over year. That seems odd to me. That's really odd.
Well, it might be year over year, but I bet it's increasing from what it is month over month.
Yeah, you got it on that. Homes sold above list price. That's such a big deal. That's been such a hot thing going on. Almost 16% less. Wait till you get into the national stuff. 16% less than last year. The reason the U.S. numbers are interesting because that's like a homogeneous, a blended set of numbers for the entire country. Good, bad, and different. So these numbers are essentially meaningless, except they're telling you what the market on the whole is trending, right? Homes with price drops, 22%. That's 9% more than last year. But that's homogeneous. That's interesting. But this asked sale ratio is down 1.8, meaning we used to get offers way over ask and still not take it. You want an inspection? I don't think so. Go away. Most competitive cities in the U.S. Hey, there you go. There's our migration trends. Look at that. That's really okay. Here we go. All right. So I'm dragging on. Sorry. Did you have any opinions there, Rodney?
No, I was waiting to see this Nashville. You going to that Nashville market?
That's where I am now. Can you see it? Are we good? Yeah. So look at the median sale price this is Nashville. 445. What was it in the U.S.? 403. It's up 17% from last year. I bet you in May it was up 25%. I'd like to be able to go back. I can't easily find that, but so the median sale price is up 17 full percent over last year. Wow. Let's see what that's. Look at the single families only up 16.6. Townhomes, look at that. Townhomes used to be such a deal. From last year, they're up nearly 40% in Nashville. Why does that surprise me? I don't know. Number of homes sold, 20% less than last year. Things are cooling down. Boy, this is perfect. You can see how that's clearing down. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's really amazing. Plus, we're 7 days longer on the market. 7 days in Nashville. And it's somewhat competitive. I think the higher the number, the more competitive it is. Wait till you get to Brentwood. So the sale to list, it's down 3% year over year. So people are starting to get deals. 3% on a $500,000 house is what? $15,000. I can multiply anything by 3. Homes sold above list price, 24% less. 24%. That's a quarter of the market. That's being less. It's been reduced by that much is what I'm trying to say. Homes with price drops, 32% of the market. That's up 10% from last year. And I'm convinced that the main culprit of that, and I'm not blaming anybody, that I think a lot of home sellers are wishing and hoping and wanting the price to be like it was a few months ago. And it's just, they have the theory, they're doing the, can we just try to see what happens theory. And in this market, I'm telling you and Rodney can tell you big time, that doesn't work. The testing out the market doesn't work anymore. So here's our inbounds. This is all tying together nicely as we start to slow down and close up. LA, net search flow. Now, this is just searches, but these are the people in LA that are curious about Nashville. 2,000. LA is number 1. Chicago. I've moved several people from Chicago, several people from Los Angeles. And then we've got Clarksville, Washington. So there's a lot of people moving in from those other places. I've never understood this. Right, this doesn't make sense down here. This is quite the cool site. Be able to look at that. So anyway, the Nashville housing market trends 445. That's the median. The Franklin, it starts getting a little weird here. The median sale price for a home in Franklin, and I've had people say, I'd like to get a Franklin home, but it's just too expensive. That's why they're saying that. $715. $715 is the median sales price. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's like, wow. Single family homes, median $825. Townhomes going to be certainly less than that, $425. But $715 is if you want to live in Franklin, that's the median. half below, half above. The number of, this is in September, number of homes sold, 195. That's plus 5.4 year over year. Now that's interesting to me. But look at the median day. Rodney, look at that. You see that?
Those big houses sitting.
Yeah, 23 extra days on the market. If you're a home buyer, if something is on the market that long, don't pay full price. I'm telling you. Offer less. Talk to your agent. May not be the case every time, but offer less. That's your chance for a deal. So in terms of competitiveness, it's a little bit less competitive. Ask to sale, 98%. So it's down 4% year over year, which means that last year it was selling, all the houses were selling at 102%. It's quite a change. Homes sold above list price down 38%. Golly.
But 18 of them still went over?
18% sold above. That's really a great point. 18%, 20% of the market nearly still selling over list. That's why we're going to tell you, if you're a home seller, if your home is in good condition and it's priced right, you're going to get top dollar. And that's what that graph proves, is that if it's in good shape, like Rodney said last week, there's going to be people wanting that house, competing for it. And that's where you get top dollar. Make your house move in ready. I'm serious. And then homes.
Let me ask you a question on that. When that stat right there, given another 6 months, is that going to be, I guess this is the way to ask it. Do you think actually 20% of the homes or 18.5% of the homes actually sold over, or is that number one of those year over year numbers that's still high right now, but actually only 1 or 2% or 5% sold over list that's still dragging this number along?
What?
I'm thinking since in the past, 75% of our homes were sold over the list price,
Right.
that September's numbers wasn't actually 18.5% over. That number's only 18.5% over because it's been averaged with the year in front of it.
Well, that's not the way I read it. I'd have to probably get into the.
Is that okay? So you're saying that it's saying 18.5% of the thing sold over list price, and that's not a year over year number. That's a September number.
No, the year over year is below it. It's 38% less than year over year. So 18% plus, we'll call it 40%, right? It's a lot less than it was last year, because last year was what it must have been 50%, 35%. I'm guessing on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I bet it was in the 70s or something.
Yeah, but I mean, it's significantly more homes sold. It was just nuts.
Yeah.
But there's fewer homes being sold over list price. But the point is, and you made this point last week, and I'm re-emphasizing it, that homes still sell over list if it's a nice house, and this is key, if it's priced correctly. It's got to be priced relative to the market today. If you're trying to price your home, boy, soapbox coming. If you're trying to price your home on numbers from a month ago, it's just not gonna work. And it's easy. I mean, it's my principal broker. He said anything more than 2 weeks is pretty much out of date, and I have to agree. Because you have to get comps by historical data, right? And you have to look at the competition currently. Those are the two things, fact and theory, and that's how you balance and get a good home price. But if you're going a month or 6 weeks back, or God forbid 2 months, that's an entirely different world. Real estate's crazy like that, God. But you show me a good house or the right price, and I'll show you more than one buyer, which is what they're talking about. And then so we've got 34% of homes with price drops. That's 13%, nearly 14% more than last year. I mean, that's a lot. And I'm convinced that that's as much of a learning curve for agents too, I'm going to say. Because some agents kind of let their sellers push them around. If you don't overprice it like I want, I'm going to fire you, that kind of a thing. Yes, ma'am. That's, sorry, but if you're an agent, you know what happens. That's a learning curve of people figuring out, okay, the higher price really, honest to goodness, doesn't work. So that's an interesting thing. And we've got the same thing. I think we're going to end up with the same stuff for the inbound on that. Where did they go? Destin. From when people leave here, they're going to Destin or Knoxville or Chattanooga, Tullahoma. What's down there? Huh. That's interesting. These are wonderful grass. Well, here's the one that'll curl your hair, which I have very little of, but it's curling it anyway. This is Brentwood, Tennessee, in Williamson County. In September, the median sale price was $1.1 million. So, if you're moving to Brentwood, bring your wallet. That's all I can tell you. Is that fair? Single-family homes, 1.2. There are not a lot of condos, townhomes. There's just a few. I'm almost going to ignore those. Median sale price, 1.2. We'll do the blend. It would be fair. 1.1. Number of homes sold in September 22, 86. That's down 3.4%. That's really not too daggone bad. But look at the median days on market. Wowie, wow. Look at that. That's a lot.
Yeah, the bigger the sales price, the bigger the days on market.
The longer the wait. And across the country, I do believe that this is accurate. I don't know if it is today, because it changes so much. But the luxury market, from what I've been reading, has really taken a beating. That there's a lot of smart people in there making decisions to wait, because I think most people in those categories probably don't have to move. They're moving because they want to, improve their life in one way or another, and they get to choose to wait more. But it's taken a beating. So here we go. Now look at this. The sale to list price is down to 97%, down 5% from last year. So that again is 102%. You take what's 2% of $1 million?
40,000.
40,000. So there's some money. There's some deals being made there. Homes sold above list price. Look at that. It's interesting. It's almost 20%. In September, 20% of the homes sold in Brentwood. There you go.
Above list.
But it's 34% less than last year. I mean, Brentwood's a tough market because it's so top end that this is where the weirdness was happening. Same thing. Homes are being sold for $300,000 and $400,000 and $500,000 over ask because that's the category. It is. God bless them. And homes with price drops, 33%. That's 8% more than last year. That's not too terribly dramatic. 8%. Huh. That's interesting. And here's the inbounds. Same kind of a thing. Where are they going? Destin. I'm sure it's going to be the same sort of thing. Huh. These are for anybody that's looking. I don't know where this one's coming from. That's one of those condos. But this is the kind of stuff that you get in Brentwood. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Anyway. I thought I wanted to take a trip down that road. It's
I like U.S. housing data.
Well, I think my point on that is wherever you live, whether it's Asheville, North Carolina, or Boise, Idaho, or Portland, Maine, Portland, Oregon, it's all real estate's local, you know? And that's kind of my point, is that if the median across the country was 403, but you come to Brentwood and it's 1 million, okay, there's a little disparity there.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I guess we're coming up. Oh, look at us. Well, so you got big stuff happening this week, Rodney? Big things going on?
Not too much. We are doing just a lot of trying to just get settled in for our, getting our stuff done and before everybody leaves for holiday.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so does, I assume that your market does the same as ours, that the closer you get a couple of weeks away from Thanksgiving, things start to close down in earnest, don't they, or not?
Yeah, we're going to have I don't want to say very few, but just a handful of families moving around that time. So it's not going to be terribly busy.
Right.
A lot of my stuff right now is we're changing a couple systems while we're a little bit slower. So,
yeah. Well, I think that my thought about the holidays this year is the American public, we all deserve a little time off from, it's been a whiplash kind of a year, economically, house-wise, just all of it,
Yeah.
And I think, I hope everybody this holiday kind of just is able to relax and chill, and we start again next year with a fresh beginning. That's certainly what I'm going to take. Because this year's been exhausting just watching it. But anyway, so hey, Rodney, any final thoughts for us?
No, let's table those rent to own things for next week. We'll table those.
I just got spanked. For anybody that's watching.
Whatever. Hey, you know our thing. Sometimes it goes fast. Sometimes it goes. It's how it is.
It was good. Well, listen. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody out there, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 1:00.